Hi everyone, I'm Brian. Welcome back. Today I am finally going to do Richard McCook's contest, which celebrates his 3 years in the vinyl community. So I've been a subscriber of Richard's for a couple weeks, I guess, and have looked at a number of his videos. I'll put a link below, but if you haven't been there, you should definitely check it out. I think he's been a very welcoming person, and I'm happy to have gotten to know him a little bit. So to celebrate 3 years, he has a contest which sort of revolves around the number 3. So the first thing to do is to enter this contest, you must be a subscriber, you must make a video, let them know that you've done it, and the closing date is the 14th of February. So the first element is to pick 3 artists from your collection and show the best and worst records. I'm going to interpret that as my favorite and least favorite. I guess I'll do it that way. The second thing is to show 3 albums that you have on CD but would love to have on vinyl. So I'm going to choose 3 things that I have on CD that aren't available on vinyl, and I'd love to have. And the last thing, perhaps most controversially, is to show 3 artists where a best of or greatest hits package is really all you need. So I've seen some interesting answers to that one already. So for the 3 artists to show best and worst, I'm going to start with a favorite of mine, and that is Kate Bush. And I always find it difficult to really choose a best from her. There's 2 records for me that really rise to the top, and those are the Hounds of Love and the Dreaming. It's a challenge for me because I like them both very much, and I guess on any given day it might switch back and forth, but I think overall I tend to believe that the Hounds of Love is a better record. It's certainly my favorite, and I think this has to do with the unity in the record. I really love the Dreaming. I think it's fantastic. I especially love the cover design, the image on the front. Some of those songs are really, really fantastic. For me, the Hounds of Love sort of flows better in my mind. On side 1, we have perhaps some of her biggest hits, Running Up the Hill and Cloud Busting, Hounds of Love. Side 2 is more of experimental, or maybe even sort of slightly progressive listing of songs. They sort of blend together in something called the Ninth Wave. The back, I really like that image. I'm not thrilled with the sort of hound dog image as much. I think the art direction on the Dreaming is better, but this for me is this is her 1985. It's her 5th record. I think it's pretty fantastic. I love the way it flows, and I think it's pretty incredible. But for me, picking my least favorite or worst album is actually far easier. It has to be the Red Shoes. I was profoundly disappointed when I heard this record. Now, I will say that there are some good tracks on here. Like Rubber Band Girl, I think, is one of her stronger singles. Eat the Music is fine. And I think a lot of these songs in isolation are actually okay, but I don't think it works together. It works as a unit together. I don't like in isolation. Some of these songs sound okay, but as a flow, I don't think it really works. And I think Prince, his guest appearance is wasted here. It's it's a nice package, but I don't I don't like the cover, the front cover or the rear cover. This has a lot of the sort of, she's really interested in dance, so focuses on dance. I don't love this record. I put it last, and I think it's last by quite a wide margin. Just never worked for me. And but I still love a couple of the songs, so I'd be interested in other people's opinions on that. The second artist I will look at is a favorite of mine. That's and this is an easy one to pick the best of, because Leonard Cohen's first album, to me, is his best record. This is such a deep record. I mean, it's so incredibly good. There's the songs that everybody knows on here, and then the songs that you maybe don't know that are also fantastic. Like Suzanne, obviously, is the song that so many people know, but it has a lot of depth to it. Master Song, Winter Lady, Sisters of Mercy, So Long Marianne, That's No Way to Say Goodbye. And for me, 2 of the strongest songs in here are some that aren't even mentioned or collected on best of packages, and that is One of Us Cannot Be Wrong and Stories of the Street. I think those are 2 of his best songs. So you see I have 3 copies of these, all original pressings that I managed to pick up over the years. Some of these I only paid $1 for back in the days when no one really cared about Leonard Cohen. He had sort of like a fame, and then sort of he disappeared for a while, and then a resurgence. But there was a time period when you could walk into a record store and get these very cheaply. And I have 3. One still has the shrink wrap on it, and I wish the price was still there. The price is kind of faded away. This one's mono. The second one's stereo. This one is mono and the San. So 3 of those. And choosing a worst Leonard Cohen record is probably not something I wish to do, because I really admire everything he's done. But there's one record that stands out. I know some people will maybe think Death of a Ladies' Man, but for me it is Dear Heather. This record from 2004. What can I say about this record? There are a couple songs I really like. I think Because Of Is Okay. On That Day, I think, is terrific. I think it's a really good song. But I find the production is a little limiting to me. He's always used backup singers, but on this record I think they kind of overwhelm the record. There are some spoken word songs, which I don't mind, because after all, I think Leonard Cohen's lyrics are unassailable. I think he's obviously was a poet to begin with, and then a novelist, and so I think there's the lyrics are great, but the production really is not good for me. And even that opening track, Go No More a Roving, when I heard that, I thought I was in adult contemporary land somewhere. There's a track on here where Leonard is the backup singer to his backup singers, which I find really, really strange. And there's 2 songs on here, I would say, Nightingale and The Faith, which I actually don't care if I ever hear again. I think they're really, really awful songs. That's the rear cover. I mean, the package is nice. It's very well pressed, I think. There's an insert. It just never did anything for me, and I struggle with that. So I don't love it. So the third artist I chose is Lou Reed, and sort of forgetting the Velvet Underground stuff when he was in the band, I'm focusing on solo work, and also I'm going to leave out Metal Machine Music, because I don't really think it fits with his sort of rock or pop records, so I'm going to leave that one out. So my favorite, this was also a challenge. There's favorite and best, and in this case I'm going to choose my favorite, Transformer, 1972. This is my copy from West Germany. I mean, this record is right from start to finish amazing. Vicious, Perfect Day, Walk on the Wild Side, Satellite of Love. Those are the 4 tracks that are classic Lou Reed. And the other ones are great too here. New York Telephone Conversation is kind of an interesting song. And I think one of the things this record highlights for me is that I think Lou is a better lyricist than some people gave him credit for. I think his lyrics on this record are really, really good. I also like the design and the photography on this record. So that, this is probably not a controversial choice. I think many people would choose this as Lou's best record. Berlin would be a second choice for me, maybe a close second. So for my least favorite Lou Reed record, I was choosing between 2, and I ultimately went for this record from 1980, which I really struggled with this one growing up in public. There are a couple of songs in here that I don't mind. I think I don't know, it just sort of seems weak. I don't love the production. I think the band sounds okay. I was hoping, when I first saw the track Power of Positive Drinking, I was hoping that would be as good as his other drinking songs like The Last Shot or Underneath the Bottle, but no. Here's the rear jacket. This is, again, not terrible, but I mean, the image. Who would choose that image on your jacket? I don't know. It doesn't really work for me. I don't listen to it very often. I picked up the CD. I had the CD of this first, and I saw this really cheaply and bought it, thinking that I would sort of finally understand this record. But again, not terrible, but not great. Okay, so show 3 records. Show 3 albums you have on CD but would love to have on vinyl, or vice versa. So I chose 3 things that I have on vinyl that I have on CD that I think would be great on vinyl. The first is John Cale, Homo Sapiens. This, I think, is one of the better John Cale well, he's got a lot of really excellent later releases. This one and Black Acetate, I think, are really, really good. This has that terrible copy protection software that ended up on your computer when you tried to save the files. This, I think, is fantastic. Maybe not as good as the earlier Island Years stuff, but this is, every song on here I think is incredible, and I would love to have that on vinyl. Second thing is the David Sylvian Robert Fripp live album called Damage. Now, if you know this, you know there's two versions of it. There's the original Robert Fripp mix on 24 karat gold CD with the booklet in this little slipcase. And then David Sylvian wasn't happy with this, I guess, the sound of this and the production, so he did his own version of this. With a slightly different track order. He took off Darshan, which is unfortunate because that's my favorite song from the first day. So this is Damage. This one sounds a bit louder, I would say. It's a good package, but I think that would be a really interesting thing to have on vinyl. It doesn't exist, but that would be great. Third item, I chose 10,000 Days from, sorry, a lot of glare here, from Tool. If you know this, you know there's 3D glasses here, and there's a number of images you can look at through those glasses, which is kind of interesting. They come up, they look 3D. It's hard to show you here, but you look through those glasses. Every vinyl release of this record is unofficial or a counterfeit, and I think there may be a couple other Tool records that are not on vinyl. I do have a couple of Tool records on vinyl, but for whatever reason they've never released this on vinyl. I think it'd be interesting to have that. So Tool. All right. The last section is to show 3 records where a best of or greatest hits compilation package is really all you need. Now, I've seen some interesting answers to this. So I'll do my best here. So The Who, it's not The Who, but I really like The Who, but I would say that of the people in The Who, only Pete Townsend has made good solo records. The rest have done nothing for me. And so I'm going to choose as my first one Roger Daltrey, The Best Bits. Now, a good question you might ask yourself is, do you even need to have this? And it's probably not. I do have some Roger Daltrey records, and none of them has done really much for me. So this does have, I guess, some of the, if you want to call them hits, Free Me, I guess, is probably his biggest solo song from Mick Vicker. The rest, I don't know even the last time I listened to this, but I guess if you're going to get Roger Daltrey, if you want to have some, this is the one to get. But do you need it? You might not need it. Secondly, for my second choice, I'm going to choose the Eagles. I'm not a big Eagles fan. I will tell you that one of the songs I hate most in the world is Hotel California. I just don't understand that song. It's an earworm. I don't like listening to it when it comes on the radio. I don't get it. Fortunately, this greatest hits package comes before that record, so it's not on here. So here's the insert. Is this a poster? I haven't looked at this in so long. I think this has to fold out. So the Eagles. Not a big Eagles fan. However, this collection I think is not bad. Take It Easy. It's got all these songs, Witchy Woman, Lying Eyes. I think this is okay. I'm not a huge Eagles fan, and I don't like Hotel California. And I certainly don't like The Long Run, that record, but this is fine. And that's really all I need. Probably the most controversial thing I'll say here on my third choice is Elvis Costello and the Attractions. Now, I will say that My Aim Is True, Oliver's Army, I do have all of those records, and they're okay. But I guess what I found is that if I was going to listen to Elvis Costello, I would just grab this one on CD, or when I was listening to CDs or on vinyl, I just grabbed this one. It was like the one that sort of I gravitated to, and I sort of avoid listening to other ones. And maybe I should change that. But this is a record that I've listened to a lot and has all the big tracks that you would know. Oliver's Army, Washington Detectives, right through to The Only Flame in Town. So that's probably the most controversial one because I think there's pretty hardcore Elvis Costello fans. All right, so I got that in a week before the deadline, so just a little bit of procrastination there, not a huge amount of procrastination. I'd be curious to know your feedback on my choices of best and worst, and what you thought of my greatest hits suggestions there. Thank you for the contest, Richard. I'm looking forward to the draw later.